Yeah, and I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that you're around Mai right now, right? We just opened this week with shadows and old stock animation right off the bat. Yeah, other than a decent sequence of three of them merging into one big shadow, there wasn't much to this fight. No, the real takeaway came afterwards when they remembered that this was a plot point. Yeah, just admit that your hip isn't what it used to be. We're all kind of at that point, Nozomi. Obviously, more on that later, but the majority of this episode was going to be with the Splash Star duel and their issues again. I mean, to be fair, this one was more focused on Saki this time, with her trying to maintain her family's bakery, along with some other relationship issues. Also, I know we just joked about it in the opening, but are they really trying to tease Saki/Mai in this show? Because, just saying, if y'all want to do it, you can absolutely get away with it in the adult show, or like a lot of things in this spinoff, are you just gonna half-ass it? Yeah, I think we all know the answer. Anyway, while Isamu Murayama couldn't go all the way with the Yuri, at least he can do his usual over-explaining.
惣菜パンとか菓子パンって日本では普通だけどフランスでは
ドイツパン、ドイツパン、フランスパンはあれど日本のパン、ジャパンはないこれから作るしかない
I'm gonna keep referencing that anime until somebody watches it, damn it! And yeah, there was a point to this, as Saki ended up talking about a city in France that would be ideal to learn more about bread making, due to it also being right on the border of Germany and their equally renowned pastries. Now, of course, they would have to hammer out a few details in regards to that, but first, back to the actual main plot of this anime. Kurumi informed everyone about the Dark Knight Light's latest upload about the shadows and...
鳥だ、飛行機だ。いいえ、シャドウだ。
Like, did they use a different kind of camera? Or are the shadows all of a sudden now becoming visible on recording devices? Even though a major plot point of the show was that some people dismissed them as just urban legends. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty dumb plot point, but it's still a plot hole here that you can't just fix with a blatant Superman reference. Stuff like that certainly isn't helping Hero Sky's flimsy plot. No, well, though, I'm sure it's just a little slip up, and it won't start to pile up on each other, right? And as soon as I say that, we got a bit where Komachi reminded us of their findings from the last episode, which Kirby just immediately dismissed as being unrelated. I mean, yeah, they kind of concluded the same thing when they visited the clock tower, but then they also found the moth lady herself carved into it, and were attacked as soon as it started ringing. I mean, I won't count this as a plot hole, but it does feel like an overly convenient way to shift back into being a Splash Star episode in this Yes 5 spin-off. Speaking of which, here's some pretty sudden melodrama. Yeah, I'll just come out and say it, I'm not crazy about Saki's conflict in this one, because it feels pretty rushed. Basically, she was struggling with telling her fiancé and parents that she wanted to study abroad in the aforementioned city in France. And if she were to do this, it would put a halt in a lot of their plans, including her dad wanting to do his own studies in Kyoto, and of course her wedding. Now, on paper, it's an interesting conflict, managing responsibilities and obligations, but again, it's gonna be rushed, and I don't think it's as developed as it could be, and even by the end, the characters themselves admit it ends kind of anticlimactically. Anyway, we did at least kind of fix one thing from a previous episode, where even though the Sky Tree was featured, the Splash Stars weren't really involved at all, and they did revisit the place where their adventure started. Though, speaking of that episode...
あの怪物騒ぎ信じてるのか
怪物なんていないいない。
Yeah, no monsters that you have video evidence of. Oh, wait. And yeah, this conflict was resolved off screen, with these execs canning the project after some protests. Personally, I would just quit land development altogether and just say the stupid tree is cursed, but yeah, there's another rush plot point. Anyway, the two were attacked by Tangela, or rather, Tang growth, judging by the size. Well, points for going with one of the more underappreciated grass types ever. Granted, Vine Whip is a very overrated attack that could easily be dealt with by some former baddies. Yep, the Kiryu sisters return, and just gave their full backstory to Belle, which triggered her even more. Thus, she tried to show them a projection of the future that she was supposedly trying to prevent, and interestingly, Kaoru seemed to recognize something about her. And I'll be honest, I find that little detail more interesting than Saki's rushed conflict here. I mean, granted, I did kind of like how Mai was returning to favor for the confidence boost from their previous episode, but even then, I'm quickly distracted by even more inconsistencies. Pass me, you got this? Aren't there only 4 flowers left and now 5 remain Otona cure?
But wait! There's more!
Though we'll get to that later, as it's also kind of worth pointing out that Flappy and Choppy didn't appear in this episode at all, not unless you count their faces on the mixed communes. But yeah, they never interacted with these two, so I guess we're just supposed to assume that these are approximations of their transformation trinkets that the Time Flowers could also provide. Like, how does that work?
I don't know!
So they had just an okay, though pretty short fight that again feels incomplete without their little buddies. Later, Saki talked things out with her parents and fiancé, and they all just gave her the okay. Yeah, no real issues, just...
It's no big deal, really.
Also, God, I kind of wish we could just get the Yuri ship with how much of a non-entity this faceless fiancé is. Oh, and also, they got around her dad wanting to learn more about confections by partnering with Komachi's family, and I apologize to anyone if your next heard from how fast that plot went by. Though also, they revealed that Kaoru and Michiru were the Dark Knight Lights. And that, oh hey look, the clock tower was the source of everything. Yeah, Komachi, you can rub it in everyone's faces just a little more, girl. And hey, why not include a few more unsurprising revelations, like our ideas of how dangerous the Time Flowers were and... Wait, go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8? And is that purple one supposed to represent Kurumi, even though she doesn't need a Time Flower and...
There's a mistake! There's a mistake! There's a mistake! Oh my god! This is the worst job ever!
Yeah, let's just end this episode with Nozomi fainting and giving everyone drunk girl meme material, I guess. Okay, so look, there is a potentially good episode here, and we even kind of see snippets of it. Mai and Saki's interactions are always nice, and I do kind of like this message about not worrying too much about things not working out, and at least giving it the old college try. But I just couldn't get over how rushed it felt, along with how distracting it was with all of its plot holes and inconsistencies. As I said, I can forgive 1 or 2 plot holes here and there, though it can also depend on the severity of them. The Shao recording hole was already pretty bad, as it broke an already flimsy plot point in the show, but then we also got Mai and Saki transforming with a sudden additional flower that we didn't see before, and then Kurumi also seemingly having one, and their fairies being MIA. Yeah, it just drives me crazy because usually Isamu Murayama is consistent with this stuff, but I don't know, was he more focused on writing his own show? Because this is very inconsistent. Not helped by how Saki's conflict here felt like a half-baked version of Mai's from their previous episodes. I mean, with Mai at least, we really got to see how other people's opinions began to misshape her own thoughts into something they weren't. Thus, by the end, it did feel warranted when Saki told her to not overthink things and just be honest with herself. And yeah, I guess she couldn't practice what she preached, which, to be fair, is a common thing. And I actually kind of like that they boomerang back with Mai picking up her partner this time. However, that alone did make up for how little focus Saki actually got to flesh out her issues. Maybe it would have helped if we had gotten to see some more interactions with her hunk of wood fiance to really see how much they trusted each other and how she didn't want to delay their wedding. But no, and I just couldn't bring myself to care. And that's my biggest issue with this episode. It felt like an unnecessary distraction, divorced from everything else going on, like everyone suddenly remembering that the Time Flowers might have a few negative effects, which they've been talking about for the past few episodes now. And on top of that, a bunch of confusing plot holes and inconsistencies, and overall, I can't really say I like this one. Maybe for Yuri shippers, you can enjoy the Saki/Mai stuff, as there's plenty of material here, and again, it's preferable to marry Mr. No-Face. Still, I don't see y'all as NPCs, and I know you can do a few things to help this little channel grow. This series seems to be entering into its endgame, and honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to it, if only to reduce my review schedule by the end of this month. But until then though, farewell for now my friends, and damn it, I dropped my wallet down the plot hole. Okay, hopefully this thing isn't too deep.